This gentleman needs no introduction. He is my partner during the football season. He is the Canfield baseball coach during the baseball season. And by golly, there he is, the best haircut in the business, Mr. Gary Knittle. How are you, G?
I'd be a lot happier if you had sunny skies, but I'm happy for you. I loved that I got to talk to you this morning and you said you were in HQ, and I didn't want to believe you, but now I can see with my own eyes. I'm happy for you guys that we can get back to some normalcy and, bring pleasure to everybody, from HQ. We missed that backdrop. I've missed that backdrop. It's a great day for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for YSN, and hopefully we can get back on track. You guys have done a fantastic job, working remote, all your guys, the coverage that you've covered. I don't know how you do it, but keep doing it. Hey, brick by brick, right?
It gets done, right?
Go on the go.
As long as it gets done.
Happy. I'm happy.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, brother. It's been a 2-month journey that I can't imagine going through without the team that we had here at YSN, and you're a big part of that. Everybody knows that, but you alluded to it right off the jump, man. This weather is holding no prisoners right now, but it's Northeast Ohio, and it's March, and this is what we come to expect. Sometimes you were the guy last year that was kind of talking me off the ledge because I'm sitting there thinking, we're going to have that opening night, Salem and Canfield at 8:00 at night, prime time. And you're like, are you crazy or what? I mean, but as a head coach, though, do you come to expect this? I mean, you plan for playing, but really in the back of your mind, you're thinking, there's probably not a whole lot of chance that we're playing.
I mean, this is 24th year for me, coaching high school baseball. And, it's funny because back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it seemed like the weather was great. I don't remember it being this bad. It's probably been the last, 5 to 10 years. It just seems like, spring is a little later in the year. Last year, yeah, when you had those high hopes, I didn't want to dash them, but, it is what it is. Now, the funny thing is we've gotten 3 scrimmages in this year. The weather was pretty good last week, so, we were able to take advantage of that. But we looked at the weather forecast, and as I told you earlier today, we joke about it, but we're heading down to Myrtle Beach, and I know a lot of schools are, and it's looking like we might not get a game in until we head down there, which is Easter. We're looking, 2 weeks, second week into April. But we got to keep our kids ready. We tried everything we could to get it in today. Mother Nature yesterday didn't help. But it's tough on the kids. It's more tough on the kids than it is on me. They're ready to go. They've worked their tails off, and they're the ones I feel sorry for. We need turf. I mean, South Range and Fitch got one in Saturday, and might have been 50-mile-an-hour winds, but they got one in.
Well, that's what I was hearing was there was a home run, and the only reason that home run happened is because of the 50-mile-an-hour wind. You just put it in the jet stream and let it fly. From your perspective, I mean, these trips that everybody seemingly goes on nowadays, when we were in school, there was no chance that we were not going on these trips. You are absolutely the prisoner of Northeast Ohio weather, whether you get 11 games in or 22 games in or whatever that may be, that's what you get. Are you an advocate for these trips? I know you enjoy them, you love them. It's almost guaranteed baseball when you travel down south, but do you enjoy them? And what kind of benefits do these trips have for a baseball and a softball team this time of year?
It's kind of funny you mentioned that. So in high school, I went to Boardman High School, and Coach Mercancy was our head coach. And we had this discussion for our senior year, whether we were going to take a trip. We were probably one of the first schools in this area to take a trip. Our senior year, we went down to Panama City, or Cocoa Beach, is actually where it was at. And we stayed down there, and it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. We got to play against teams at that time. Alex Rodriguez was on one of the teams that we played. ESPN was there. It was really cool. The Heisman Trophy winner, Gino Toretto, was dating one of our players, his sister. They're married now. So he was at a game. It was like, for us, it was awesome. So when Canfield started this tradition about 15 years ago, it was kind of a no-brainer. Like you said, the weather was a big factor. But it's also great for team building. I mean, it's great to get those guys. You saw us last year, all in one house. I mean, it's a family atmosphere. We get to know each other, and that carried us a long way. these last couple of years.
So I guess
I'm an advocate for it.
Yeah, of course you are. You're an advocate for everything. You were Mr. Brightside. Everybody calls you doom and gloom, but you were Mr. Brightside for me. You talked about that house. I mean, the team building atmosphere that you have to have this time. It's people don't realize, while we fall in love with our own personal, like 1, 2, 3, 4 guy, that senior class every year, you only really have sometimes those that class for one real big year, and then they're gone. Last year was a huge year for you, for seniors. You talk about Cheese. You talk about some of the guys that were on that team. Nate Shaw. The list goes on and on. Giuliano. When you think about this year's team, this is a very special group to you personally, because you've got some guys that you've not only coached but you've mentored since basically the day they were born, man. I mean, what does it mean to have a team like this, a squad like this, their senior year, and what are the expectations for this year, given kind of the letdown that you guys had at the end of the year last year?
Yeah, every coach says a senior group's a special group. And last year's senior group, I don't like to, say, hey, they were the best group we ever had, but they were a really good group, and they've continued to mentor our kids. And Landon Vital Cheese is killing it at Ohio State as a freshman. Nate Shaw is at Wright State. It was really cool. They both texted me. They played this past week, and we had a little group chat before the game. And I said, "Oh, Nate, give me some updates." He's like, "Coach, we're not allowed cell phones in the dugout." And I said, "Yeah, I know. I'm just messing with you." But you get to see those personalities in a trip. You get to see them over the season. But when you spend a week with those kids, their sleeping habits, what they do, like to have in the morning. Jamison Beck, who's a senior this year, we joke all the time. He has like 8 cups of coffee. While we're up, he's like an old man in the morning, sitting on the couch watching TV, drinking his coffee. So he's got his own Keurig this year. Certain things just kind of come to order. But that last year group, you got Ryan Petro, you had Gerdick. I could go on and on. They were just a fantastic group to have. And I'm very thankful that this senior group, is much the same. They're like clones of each other. You got AJ Havrilla, you got Ben Slanker, you got Ethan Proud, who was an all-league guy last year, Jamison Beck, who I just mentioned, Steven Maschek. Jack Davis, he's going on to play college baseball. We got 4 kids that are going to continue, and the one I left out was Connor Miller, who unfortunately had a knee injury and had surgery in December. We're really, really keeping our fingers crossed. He started throwing a little bit this week. Hopefully get him back in May for the tournament push as our number 1. But it's a good group, and, I'm just thankful that I get to do this. And, the friendships and the mentorships and the things you say, I talk to kids still today from 24 years ago. They're grown men now, and Todd Kibbe's of the world and so forth. And, that's what you get out of baseball is, the opportunity to see these kids grow up and have their own kids. And Joey Hosel's mom, who was from Canfield, he pitched at Wright State. He's coaching down in Columbus. I ran into his mom at Giant Eagle yesterday, and we ended up talking for like 20 minutes. So it's just really cool. I mean, you don't do this for the money. You do it for the friendships and the mentorships and things like that. And I'm very thankful in my 24 years, the guys I've been around and the kids that I've been around.
I was just going to ask you, 24 years, what has changed from year 1 to year 24? What's the biggest change that you can put your finger on?
We grew up watching, social media changed everything. You had to have patience. There's no patience anymore. We used to sit down and watch baseball games from start to finish. Me and Rick Avarilla were talking, and Barry Daggett, who played at YSU with Rick too, and the other night, and just saying, like, these kids just don't have the patience. They want the highlights. They want, the nuances of the game that we grew up with isn't there today. And that's not the fault of the kids. They're trying to make baseball, the bigger bases, the pitch clock, but it's not baseball. You remember the Nomar Garcia Parras, the Card Groves. That was part of the game. You get to watch those guys. Now it's you take your strike, foul a ball off, take one step out, get back in. You got to be ready to go. I get what they're trying to do. because it is kind of that type of generation of kids that we have. But that's the biggest change is just patience. These kids want expectation. They want to play varsity as fresh. They just want to, they think they should be in there. They don't put the grind in. I think that our generation did that, when I first started. That's the biggest difference.
just
still
the
kids.
biggest
They're still teenagers. They still do a lot of the quirky stuff, which I love, but they just don't have the patience. That would be my big.
One of the things that I love most about what you and your staff bring to the table, well, it's just you and your staff. I mean, you've got a bunch of guys on your staff that could be, if they really wanted to be, head coaches or have been head coaches elsewhere, and they could pretty much line up whatever job they'd want at this point in their careers with the knowledge that they have, the experience that they have, and the respect that they get from those teenagers, those student athletes. Speak to your staff and explain why these guys are so great and make up what really is one of the best baseball teams year in and year out in our valley.
I preach this all the time, and I give them all the credit in the world. Rick Havrilla, he's got 20 years in as well. Same age, graduated same year as I did. He was just, a grinder, played 4 years at YSU, and, he's been an assistant, never been a head coach. He's never really wanted. He just likes mentoring, coaching, hitting, and pitching and infield. That's his thing. Coach Weimer, obviously, he's been a head coach multiple times at Springfield and Ursuline and had success. Took 2 teams to state championship game. Just came up a little short. Jason Morrell, same thing. He's got a pedigree. He played for, all of us have either played for a state championship game or been in those big situations as players or coaches. And, I think that speaks volumes. Coach Morrell got a state championship ring coaching football too, coaching the receivers. And he has a lot of respect from our guys like Scotty Eaton and Jack Davis from that aspect. And then Andrew Sabella, who, he's our JV coach, but he's with our varsity group. He's a young guy, but I'm going to tell you right now, when he decides he wants to be a head coach, he might be the best there is. I've never seen anyone with an attention to detail and how the kids respond to him. So, we brought on Nate Fleming, who's a Boardman graduate this year, to help us out. And then rounding it out, we have Ryan Halicki, who played for me when I was head coach at Liberty, and he's worked with our catchers. He's been with me since I've been here. So, we're very fortunate. I'm very fortunate. It's easy to kind of, Coach Weimer, you got pitchers. Coach Avrilla, you're going to work with the infielders. Coach Morrell, you got outfielders. Ryan Halicki, work with the catchers. It's really nice. And, they get a lot of one-on-one, which, when I was at Liberty, we didn't have that. We had 2 coaches and we had to pretty much do everything. But it's really nice when we could specialize. And the kids get a lot of one-on-one work as opposed to just, kind of being a number. So we're very fortunate here.
So when you have 35 coaches on your staff, what do you get to do? Do you have dinner detail or what do you have?
I got to deal with the rain. That's my thing. I get texts all day long. Are we playing? Are we not playing? What are we going to practice? How we do? I got to call the AD. I got to make sure we can get gym time. I got to make sure, the one thing at Canfield is, we got a lot going on in the spring. A lot of other schools don't have that. We got boys and girls lacrosse. We got middle school track at our track. We got high school track. We got softball. We got baseball. It is chaos. If you come to the campus at 4:00 and look out on our turf, we might have 3 different teams all trying to fight for that turf time. And, it gets tough. And, it's those type of things, the interviews that I got to do.
Oh,
I want to pass these off on Coach Havrilla. I've been trying, before I go, I said, you're taking this. Now, I know Coach Weimer will jump right on and won't skip a beat.
love it.
Oh, I know. And I might make him at some point have to do this. But, it's a lot going on. It's just the ins and outs and making sure, teams are where they got to be. We got buses. And it's kind of an AD job, honestly, in the spring because it's so hard with all the other sports and rainouts and changing dates and traveling to Myrtle and playing in these PBR events. They want all kind of information. So attention to detail type stuff. To be honest, I'd rather be, working with the pitchers. I miss that. I do. But Coach Weimer does a great job. So I know he'll handle it and we'll be just fine.
So I had the luxury of being with you this past December when South Range and Canfield won the state championships on the same day. Obviously, it was very important for you to be there for both of them, but had an interesting perspective, being able to be down on the field and throughout the day for Canfield as they won that championship. So I guess the question is, have you seen a different demeanor from some of those kids being around that championship and understanding what it takes to get there, and then what it takes to win that, with a couple of guys on your roster that are going to get rings, or maybe have got them already that we don't know
I was
about?
going to ask you, when did South? It's supposed to
Tonight.
be on the 7th. Okay,
Tonight.
all right. We knew it had. We were talking about that. Who's going to get them first? I think they're getting them on the 7th. I
Okay.
think that's the date that Coach Morrell just told me the other day, because I said I want to see it. Now I got to compare the two, and that's going to be the next thing. Who got the nicer ring? But
oh boy, oh boy,
how it goes. But I'm still chasing that one, and that's the hunger. Why I keep doing this too is with the group of kids that we had. Last year was absolutely a letdown. I'm, and I've been to state clinics. And everyone said, you play a best out of 3, whatever. We had the most talent. I think we were the most prepared team in the state. But baseball is just tough, man. It was one day. We had a lot of kids that weren't feeling well, and it didn't go our way. But that's our expectation, and we took a lot of heat last year, state or bust and all that. But our kids really believed it. And, and I let them roll with it. And that was kind of my decision. Some of my assistant coaches didn't like it, but that was kind of their mentality. They had worked really hard from the year before, going 24-1, and we had a lot back. This year, no, we had our one chance at that. We'll let it slide. But now we're just focused, one game at a time. We're getting back to, the basics and, just preparing. But that was a memorable moment, especially for me, and I know for you, and I'm glad I got to document you and, Coach Yeagley with the hug, because, there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of people don't understand, whether you're just calling games, you grow that attachment. You say it over and over, but a lot of people don't understand that. For me, I coached with Coach Yeagley on staff, and so I was as happy as can be. And then that moment, with Lindstrom and talking to the Canfield guys after the game, it gave me goosebumps. And it's really cool, to see these teenagers, experience that. So that'll be a memory I'll never forget.
That's something.
And be along with you too.
Well, yeah, of course,
yeah,
of course. We had the whole season. And that's a special season nonetheless. But that was I mean, just the moments leading up to that, and the moments that was the travel that we had and all that stuff. It was great. But for you, it was really cool to see you down on the field as part of that Canfield group, and seeing your guys, your kid, your players, your coaches, J-Mo getting a ring. I mean, that was
Coach Pav and I are as close as. I mean, we text each other before each game, and we've talked about this, but the camaraderie of coaches at Canfield is second to none. I've talked to other coaches. Oh, do you even talk to the football coach? It doesn't happen. Whether it's sharing the weight room, hey, can we get our guys in the weight room during baseball? Can we work around your schedule? And that's why we have success. I think you have to be on the same page. If you're not, and you're all about your own sport, then, you're setting kids up to fail. You can't tell a kid you can't go to lift, or you can't go to hitting, or this and that. Basketball, it all kind of works together. And by the way, I do want to say shout out to Coach Rock. He was a player of mine when I was coaching with Coach Yeagley, and everyone kept asking me who's going to be the next coach, and I had no idea. But in the back of my head, I'm like, if it's not Coach Rock, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking.
And there were some guys in that pile, I guess, of resumes.
Yeah, but you know what? He's South Range football. If you're going to pick somebody to carry over the program, and I've got to know David outside of when we after I got done coaching with them, we were at a wedding this past summer, and we were talking and catching up, and he's ready, and he's going to lead that team. They're not going to skip a beat. And I'm happy for him, because I think it's a perfect fit.
Sam Torres is chiming in and says Sink Pizza. I think we all know what that means. All right. So we talked about the expectations. We talked about your seniors and some of what you guys are going to bring to the table this year. One thing I love talking about with you is number one, the gear, because you guys always have a different look to you, a different style. And this year, we're used to seeing that cardinal with the bat underneath it.
Yet. Don't give it all away yet.
Well, you already posted it on Facebook.
Yeah, but not everyone has seen it. Yeah, we switched it up. We went retro.
All right, what do we got this year?
It is the old St. Louis Cardinals retro cardinal. And we rack our brains every year. The seniors always want something different, and it's hard when we have a logo and we don't have the letters like the U or it's Canfield High School. It's CHS. It is what it is. There's not much to it. CC on a hat looks ridiculous. So Coach Havrilla and I, we kind of went into the grind. We dug deep and we kind of started to slowly unveil it. It was and then it kind of got out, but we were hoping, we can unleash it. We haven't really done it yet at our scrimmages. We wore all of our old practice jerseys, but yeah, we're waiting to break them out. Like I said, I'm excited about it. The kids are excited about it. You got yours coming. It's ready.
That's all that matters.
Stop down here. Now that I know you're at HQ, it's an easy drop off. So
yeah, come on down. Our next coach's corner, we'll line it up.
Yeah.
That goes for any coach out there. If you want an easy coach's corner, you drop down your stuff, your hats. That's it. That's an easy coach's corner. If you give us gear, we'll get you on right away. I know you invited me, which I was so grateful for, to the Avalon for signing day for your guys.
Yeah.
The family atmosphere. Talk about these parents, of these young men that you're able to coach, how much they mean to the program, how much they mean to the community, and how special they are on a year-to-year basis.
I got to start with Coach Havrilla. He got to coach both of his kids. AJ's the senior now, going to Marshall, and it was not an easy path for him. Some people know the story, but he was committed to Ohio State. They had a coaching change, and the new coach coming in just didn't fit his type. I didn't know if it was going to be a good fit, so he decommitted. Then Coach Beals, who brought him in at Ohio State, ended up at Akron, and there was talk of him going there. And then before you know it, he ended up taking the job at Marshall, and it was just a perfect fit. And that's where AJ ended up. And, his older brother, Ricky, is killing it at Tiffin right now. He played really well the other day, having a great season. It's his last year. So it's like a coming full circle for Coach Avarilla. And, Ricky will be finishing this year, and then AJ starts up next year. Benny Slanker, he's going to OU, and my goodness, you don't talk much. If you get him, you've had interviews with him, hard to get him to open up, but on the field, my gosh, the ball just jumps off his bat. In the one scrimmage, he had an opposite field home run that probably hasn't landed yet. He's gonna do great things at OU. Connor Miller, who I talked about, who had the injury, he's already committed to Marietta. He's going to pitch down there, and that's like pitching you. So, looking forward to that. And then Jack Davis is going to Notre Dame College to play for Lenny Barker. And if you guys don't know who Lenny Barker is, the only perfect game in Cleveland Indians history. He's the head coach there, and, I've gotten close with him. So I'm excited for those four. And that day was special. We had the whole team down there, and Coach Sabella, took care of us and took care of you. And, and I'm thankful that you could be there and, document it all. Get the interviews and so forth. So, it's great. Right now we have 11 guys playing college baseball or committed in the last, 4 years that I've been a coach here. And that's what it's about. To me, that's what it's about. The ones that want to go play any, whether it's D1, D2, D3, whatever it is, that's my goal. You want to go play college baseball, I'll get you there. You put the work in, we'll get you there. And that's one thing I'm very proud of here at Canfield. That's the thing I'm most proud of. Wins and losses come and go, but to see those guys go play college baseball and have those memories, it lasts a lifetime for me and them. So
that's a legacy thing, man.
That's the truth, though. Some people say, "Oh, what?" No, honestly, I don't know my record. People ask me all the time, like, "What's my?" I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know wins and losses. The only reason I know Canfield's is because they document it for me, and I had to go look it up. But, I don't know. I don't know how many wins. They ask me every year, so what's your win total? I said, I don't know. I don't keep track. I really don't. So
how is this year for you going to be any different than years prior?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's why they pay me the big
It
bucks.
does mean a lot for me. It's one of those things where, like in AJ Havrilla, like you mentioned, growing up with, the one thing about Canfield that people really don't understand, I get it all the time, is Canfield does not have an open enrollment policy. We are one of the few schools left in the state of Ohio that has no open enrollment. Now, kids from Canfield may go somewhere else. We've had that happen, but the kids that we get are the kids that grew up in Canfield. And we just did a clinic at the Watts Center for CBC baseball. They have the highest number of kids ever coming out. 680 kids in Canfield.
Wow.
Are playing in the pro. It's unbelievable. We've built that up, and those are the kids. It starts there and they work their way through, and we get to see these kids at age 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 age, like, and then they come in and, we have time with them and get those 4 years. But it's like, I've known AJ since he's been the same size, but I've known him since he was like 8. He's always been a big boy. But that's the thing for me. I remember, just these guys, watching them in Little League, and, now this is their senior year, and, I want to send them out hopefully on a high note. That's my goal.
Sam wants to know, are there a lot of travel ball players in the Canfield system?
There are, but not as many as you think. A lot of them will play with Astros. And in fact, we have an 11U and a 12U team that is just made up of Canfield that is travel ball, which is awesome. Coach Musilli, and Coach Koenig have teams. They're just Canfield kids. They practice in our facility. We give them access to anything that we can. And that's really cool. I mean, when you've got travel teams that are just Canfield kids, that's cool. Now, I will say, when they turn 13, that's when things get a little dicey, and some will go here and some will go there. But we do have a couple kids that have played for Ohio Elite. One was with Release. But then the rest were really Astros. I mean, that's Benny Slanker, that's, AJ Havrilla, and they played for Tops, which is kind of an affiliate with Astros. Some of those guys, they kind of go back and forth, but I mean, a lot of it's been local, and that helps out a lot. So we're thankful for that.
It's my favorite time of year. It's spring and summer. That means I get to spend a lot of time with you, and then right back into the fall, hopefully with some more pigskin, my friend. G Knits, I appreciate you. I love you. You mean the world to me. No matter how much crap I give you, and vice versa. It's always a great brotherhood. Thank you so much for spending more than enough time today. I tried to tell you 10 minutes, and you gave me 30, so I appreciate you.
Well, what'd you expect? I reciprocate everything you just said. You know that.
I know, and I know you like to talk. I love you too, buddy. Be well. Thank you so much. You're welcome here anytime. Good luck. We'll see you down in Myrtle. See you, buddy.